What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live as always from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. This is the Wagering World. I'm in here with my co-host, the OG of the show, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know, and that's my guy Spread Astaire. How are you this evening, Spread?
Man, I'm excited to be on here and to talk some basketball with you. I was telling you that the moves kind of settling in there. Still got a little more on my plate than I expected, but I've been able to dial back in. I started the NBA rundown back up this week. But let's be honest, NBA, not much going on right now that's pretty interesting. If you're a basketball fan and you're into basketball, it's all about the tournament right now. And although I personally would have liked more upsets, I thought the first weekend was some pretty quality basketball. And I definitely enjoyed being able to take a little break from everything I've been doing and watch this NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's been some really exciting games. Man, a lot of chalk, but that's good for us who, really like quality basketball, because just some really solid teams and some solid coaches getting it done. The only upset I could think about really is McNeese. We'll get to that a little bit when we get to the past. Besides that, the big programs did what they were supposed to do, and I think we're going to see more of that now with NIL, because you can believe that any of the mid-majors who even had one or two players who look like they deserve to play on the higher level, they're going to get some offers immediately. You've been watching in the NBA?
Yep. I'm dialed back in now. I've been taking advantage of the YouTube TV 4 box, and but like I said, the quality of play hasn't been good. Like even today, I'm punching in numbers. Wizards, Sixers. I mean, both the teams want to lose. That's not quality basketball to me. Like, I don't want to tune in to see that. Raptors, Brooklyn Nets, another game on tonight's card. Both teams are trying to lose. That's the problem in the NBA. When people get on and go, too many threes, that's not the problem in the NBA right now. The problem is there's like 7 or 8 teams that are completely checked out. And even if you watch these games, players like Scotty Barnes, Lauri Markkanen, let's say they're having a good game, they get pulled with. They're playing 25 minutes.
Yeah, Jeff T was saying something about that on his podcast. I really enjoy his podcast. I think it's called Club 520. He was saying something about when he got to Atlanta. As soon as he pulled up, that one of the guys, what's that kid's name? He used to play for Duke, and now he plays for Barcelona overseas. He was Jabari Parker. He was a really good player. Got fond memories. Me and my wife bet a lot of money on him one game against Virginia, man, and MGM. And I just kept hollering, he's too good every time he scored a basket. We won a lot of money on that game. But anyway, he was saying that Jabari Parker told him when he pulled up to Atlanta, like, you're going to be on a minutes restriction, right? He was like, you'll see it. Then he said Danny Ferry called him up to the front office and told him, okay, you're going to get 18 minutes. No, I think the coach did. The brother used to be the coach with the low haircut. He's an assistant, I think, somewhere now. He's a really good coach. I think he's an assistant with the Pacers.
Nate McMillan?
No, not Nate. The younger guy. He was Atlanta's coach for a brief period.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I like him. He got a raw deal.
Yeah, he did. He's on the bench, though, I think, with the Pacers right now.
Yeah. He got a raw deal. Anyway, he's a really good coach.
He's a really good coach. He called him in there and told him, you played 19 minutes. Teague was like, man, what if I start cooking? And he's like, well, whatever cooking you need to do, you better do
exactly,
those 19 minutes. So it's a weird thing, but I mean, you can't really argue with the results. That kind of, segues to my Rockets, because we built that way. Unfortunately, we had some really horrible seasons. I don't know if it was as much personnel as in tanking, but it worked out in our favor with us being able to get Jalen Green at number 2, getting Sagoon in that same draft later on in the first round, getting Jabari Smith, who both you and I were really high on. He's been a little bit slow, but if you watch the Rockets games enough, you know how important a player Jabari Smith is. And if I'm the Rockets, I don't change anything in the offseason. I don't bail out the Suns by getting them out those horrible contracts. I stay packed, like right where we are. And as long as we can keep the band together, I would do it. If you want to add a free agent, you want to cut, the deficit, maybe get rid of Van Fleet, even though Van Fleet has been playing pretty good coming back. He had a really good game last night as well. And he's a great, voice in the locker room, good leader. But I feel like Jeff Green can give you the same thing as far as in leadership in the locker room at a much lower cost. And you could bring in either Harden, who's going to be a free agent and has made no types of, bones about it that he would love to play back in Houston. It's just now can him and Emi Udoka get on the same page and understand each other because he's actually like everything that the Rockets are missing as far as a situational offense and also being able just to teach Sagoon how to run an inverted pick and roll, and also to teach Jalen how to run the pick and roll properly. He's getting really better at that now. And also, our men could be a playmaker and could really learn from James Harden on how to, do some real good PNR because that's basically the NBA offense right now, being able to read, and he's a savant when it comes to that. If they don't want to spend that much money, you can go with a bargain deal spread and go get Quentin Grimes. I feel like the Rockets could do fine doing the Harper Jordan type of backcourt with Jalen Green and him, where you got two shooting guards, but you have playmakers around. Much like Scottie Pippen was the de facto point guard for the Bulls, I feel like Amen Thompson at small forward can still be the playmaker and bring the ball up and make things happen. Also, you can go inverted and let Sagoon make things happen and let Quentin Grimes do what he does best, and that's catch and shoot. And we know that the Rockets already play great defense, and now with Van Fleet out the lineup, and instead you got a 6'5" Quentin Grimes who loves to play defense on these switches. The Rockets would be a real, real problem, I think, if they added Quentin Grimes. So I'm starting to lean more Quentin Grimes than Harden and just keeping our lunch pill type of attitude and just coming to play hard every night. And I think that the Rockets will get where they need to be sooner or later. I think Jalen Green kind of becomes the head of the snake and is the closer and is the guy that gets it done for us in important games. What do you think about the Rockets past the All-Star game? They've been really good.
I think the key for the Houston Rockets is going to be how much the offensive rebounding advantage that they've enjoyed during the regular season translates to the postseason, because just like Oklahoma City, right? Oklahoma City's got Shea, you guys got Jalen. I don't like the rest of the creation. I feel like you're too dependent. I mean, obviously these other guys are good players, but I'm just talking about the ability to just give them the ball, clear out, and let them go to work. Really only Jalen there. Now, the Rockets have been able to overcome that this year with offensive rebounds. So let's just say Jabari or Şengün doesn't put up a quality shot. Adams is grabbing the rebound, putting it back, or Şengün's grabbing the rebound, putting it back. That's been the difference for the Rockets this year. Will this offensive rebounding advantage and the way that they've kind of been able to use the fact that a lot of these teams, they're not that solid at defensive rebounding. How many teams go five back? Like Boston goes five back. They don't attack the glass that much. They're the NBA champions. There's a lot of other teams doing that. So as a result, some of these guys' fundamentals, when it comes to boxing out, finding their guys, they're not up to par. And the Rockets have taken advantage of that this year. So I can't wait to see how that translates. And when I'm watching their success on the offensive glass and how teams are doing, keeping them off the boards, that's going to help me predict their success for the playoffs this year. Now, to be fair, even if they go out in the first round, they've made a huge leap, and you have to be excited for them. But I don't know if they need to be content with that. I think that if they are able to dominate the glass, right, and our guy, Coach Goodman, he always says it, right, defense and rebounding wins chips. If they're able to keep these guys off the defensive glass, they could cause problems for anyone. So I can't wait to see if that regular season success translates to the postseason when it comes to hitting the glass for the Rockets.
Yeah, I don't expect much from them in the playoffs. I do think that the number 2 seed can be reached, by just playing hard every night. But we have seen breakthroughs, as we saw with the Suns team of 2021, where people kind of thought that about them and they ended up making a run all the way to the championships. So a precedent has been set. And I think that 2021 model is pretty much the Rockets team, and they should learn from the mistakes of that team. And I preached that over and over on the show. Major League Baseball starting tomorrow. You and I spoke about that briefly. I think the Astros are still the favorites to win the AL West. Why wouldn't they be? But the big news is Cam Smith, third fastest player to come up as a position player of all time. Only guys who came up faster than was Pitt Incaviglia for the 1986 Rangers. He had no games that he played at all at the lower levels. And then John Olerud, I remember he used to be the guy that wore the hard hat in the infield while he was playing first base, because I think he had an accident or somewhere. He got hit with a ball when he was younger or something. But the Blue Jays brought him up in 6 games. So now, after just 13 games of pro experience, young Cam Smith gets a chance to play right field for the Astros. You've been watching any baseball, or keep your eyes on any baseball that might interest you in betting this year at all, Spread?
Well, I just wanted to get the lowdown on Cam Smith here because I saw everybody talking about him, and I don't think I'll be handicapping it myself this year. We had a pretty good system last year with you and Sino, just covering the bases there, and let me know the plays as we continue to talk sports every day. But what makes you so excited about Smith, and what would you say a realistic expectation for his output this year if he's able to stay healthy?
Well, he's a natural hitter to me, and he kind of compacted his stance. I have to believe he could do it. Look at Jackson Merrill. He made the transition from minor league infielder to outfielder with no problems for the Padres, and he was second in Rookie of the Year awards. And I think that Cam is more talented than Jackson is. So, I honestly, I'm going to put a fly out there. He's at plus 600. He already has the second highest odds to win the Rookie of the Year in the American League. I'm going to definitely put some on it because he's going to get the usage. Very young, very athletic, looks great in the box, man. Kind of reminds you of Juan Soto. Seems like a really natural hitter, and I don't think the moment's too big for this kid at all. The Astros, that's one thing that it's great being a fan of a team that is really good at making moves and being able to spot talent. There's not a lot of teams out here who can spot talent. You deal with that now as a Raiders fan, with the fact that just some bad moves over the years and inability to, forecast what these guys are going to be. And the Astros really excel at that, as this might end up with Kyle Tucker being traded for a guy who's going to be better than him for a much longer time at a better price, because we love Kyle Tucker. King Tucker was one of the most favorite fan favorites in Houston. My son loved him. So he's going to be missed, but not a bad move at all when you can get a guy like Cam Smith, who's so talented that he goes directly to the majors, and we're going to get a lot of usage out of him. So just another really smart move by the front office for the Astros. And people change. You got Dana Brown there. A lot of people said that the past administration was why the Astros were so good, but it all goes up to Jim Crane. Jim Crane is one of the best owners in sports and really smart guy. Speaking of ownership, the Giants, man, they made some different moves this year. Their first 2 brothers at quarterback, they signed them back-to-back, too. They get Jameis Winston first. A lot of people, I think, thought that he was going to be the starter, but now they signed Russell Wilson. This has to be a domino effect, right, Spread? It has to be that the Giants must have heard that the Cleveland Browns are going to take Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, Tyler and I were arguing about that yesterday. We did the show over on Fanspeak where we do a fantasy draft, and I said, hey, I still don't think that they would pass on Sanders if he's there at 3. But Tyler seems to think that this is going to indicate, just like with the Raiders going out to get Geno. Okay, yeah. Sanders isn't going to fall to 6. With the Giants doing this, right? Maybe some inside info, or these guys all know each other. It's and we've talked about that before. It's sometimes to the detriment of the league because they all hire their friends and not necessarily the most qualified guys. Yeah, they all know each other. Could be a pretty good idea, and I don't even know if Stefanski would care about getting fired, because he would get another great job no matter what. But the GM that signed that Deshaun Watson contract, he's got to feel on the hot seat, swing for the fences there. I know Abdul Carter's a great player, but I don't think he changes your franchise the way that Shedeur Sanders potentially could. So, 1-2 now for quarterbacks, to me, wouldn't be that crazy. And also for me, I know that Cam Ward's a great prospect. Wouldn't be surprising to me if Sanders has a better rookie year. I think that Sanders is pro-ready, and I think that Stefanski and that team could be good to go. And you take away some of the lingering effects of Watson, and kind of, if you draft Sanders, right, I mean, you're kind of sweeping Watson under the rug or opening the door for him to leave. Maybe that reinvigorates the franchise, because I feel that there was a lot of players that didn't want to play with them. and I know that Amari Cooper was one of them. So, hey, wouldn't be too surprised. And I think if the Browns draft Sanders, they might be pretty good this year.
It's gonna be really good, and I think that it's going to probably go that way. And originally, I thought it was going to be a Raider because remember, Myles Garrett was at the time saying he wanted to get traded from Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Whatever they spoke to him about Andrew Berry, the GM, because I think the owner wouldn't even sit down with him or something, but Andrew Berry worked out a deal with him to give him an extension and give him more money. I don't see Myles Garrett accepting that deal if they don't tell them they have a plan in place at quarterback, and it can't be Kenny Pickett. Right. Like they brought in Kenny Pickett, really shrewd move by Howie Roseman getting DTR, who's a really good quarterback, going to be one of the better backup quarterbacks, especially with the coaching that he'll receive over there in Philadelphia. But his style is a lot more similar to Jalen Hurts, so he's going to be a better plan for the Eagles where they can run what they like to do. Instead of having to switch up the offense completely when they had Kenny Pickett, if something were to happen to Jalen Hurts, and he did miss a couple games last year. So I think that another great move by the Eagles in getting DTR. He's a Las Vegas kid. I watched him in high school. He can play, and I think he's going to stick around the league for a long time. As far as in with Shedeur to the Browns, at first, man, I was wondering, okay, is Coach Prime going to let him go there? Then I thought about the type of guy Coach Prime is. Your pick number 2, he's the type of guy that's going to tell him, okay, I've talked to the team, I've looked at the structure. Who can dislike Kevin Stefanski? Kevin Stefanski is a really laid-back, smart guy. He's going to push you in all the best situations to play well. So another great thing going for him that I didn't factor, but now that I'm thinking about it, Cleveland is kind of a prime time famous like franchise, whether we want to accept it or not. I mean, they're kind of known for those ugly uniforms. They're so plain, the orange helmets and stuff. But the Dog Pound is a real fan base, and they have great superstar fans that are from Cleveland that love that team, like LeBron. That if you bring Shedeur over there, he gets a lot more shine that you would think that he was going to get, because Johnny Manziel, when he went to Cleveland, it was a big deal. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it will work with Shedeur, because if you remember when Deshaun Watson was traded to the Browns, I was like, he's in the perfect situation. Little did I know his mental was different now, and that his mental was going to start bothering his physical, and all the stuff that he was dealing with the media and being exposed like he was would go on to the field in his play. Because when Deshaun left Houston, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the whole world. Now you got Shedeur coming in, but he has those same advantages that Deshaun was traded there to take advantage of. A brilliant offensive-minded head coach, Stefanski, a rugged defense with a really good defensive end in Myles Garrett, who can take over games, really good defensive backfield, just a really solid team that's just missing a quarterback. Rugged running game, great play designer, Stefanski. So it all is coming together now. And then when I heard Shedeur saying he was playing with the Browns on Madden, I was like, yeah, now that Prime's probably talked to them, seeing that they're solid and have a plan, you got a brother like Andrew Berry at the GM, I can see this maybe happening, because I think that he's going to approach it with telling Shedeur, be grateful that a team cares enough about you and thinks so much of your game to take you with the number 2 pick. So I think that they will go ahead and accept that. I don't think that they're going to fight, and I don't think they're going to push back, because the Browns are a solid team and they have a really good coach. So it's a chance for them to be successful immediately, as you said. Maybe not the city you want to live in, but hey, the franchise is a pretty popular franchise. So I would not be surprised now to see that. Do not be surprised, though, Spread, if the Raiders make a move and try to move up. Something still might occur. It all depends on if in that building, is Tom Brady going to make the OG do what he wants to do? Or is the OG going to tell them, hey, man, we're good with that. Gino's okay. Trust me on this one, Tom. Or does he overrule Pete Carroll? Or does Pete Carroll want Shedeur as well? Because when they went and got Gino, I feel like they were setting up to go draft Shedeur anyway, because that's kind of like the perfect segue to bringing in Shador's the quarterback. Similar games to each other. Gino's a veteran guy, really good dude, really likable guy, works hard. So we'll see. This is one of the most interesting drafts that we've seen. But I want to drop this on you real quick, Spread, before we moved on. Guys, we've been really good on quarterback over here. I talked about Cam Ward when he was an incarnate word back in 2021 about that this guy was really a special talent, had a bright future. Now, 4 years later, he sees the number one pick. We talked about Jaden Daniels when he was still at Arizona State, and no one was aware of the type of pro talent that he had and really didn't look at him as a pro, but we saw it here on the Wagering World. Well, I was doing a little research and I found out a guy who covers ESPN Cleveland, a guy named Dan Yake. He says, this is him and I quote, the fact is that you have a pretty lousy offensive line the last couple years in Colorado. Shador was running for his life and still completed 70% of his balls. His touchdown interception rate was crazy. All of that is because he was able to read defenses, which is superior to anyone I have seen in a very long time. Also factor in not only the coaching from his father, but him being mentored by Tom Brady and also being coached by former Giants head coach as his offensive coordinator, Pat Shurmur. His pregame warm-up is even more professional than any quarterback that we've seen come out. I say this guy's been watching the Wagering World, so I'm glad that it's getting out to more people. Just the simple fact that Shador is the most pro-ready, as you said, he will have a not only quicker success than Cam, he'll have a more successful career than Cam. I think he was built to be a pro quarterback, and I look forward to that. But with your Raiders, do you think they can get back into it? Do they have anything that they could do to move up? Do you see? Or do you think their plans just go with another quarterback now?
Well, I think with getting Gino, they don't have to force anything.
Right.
So let's just say they call Cleveland. Cleveland says, no, we're taking Sanders. There's nothing you can offer us. I think they're okay with that. But when they signed Gino, I didn't think that necessarily took Sanders off the table for us earlier, because even before he became involved with the Raiders, Brady has consistently talked about one of the big problems that these quarterbacks have is that they're all expected to start week one their rookie year.
That's right.
And he felt that he really benefited from playing behind Bledsoe, and that he thinks that some of these guys get thrown to the wolves too early, and then they're not, then they're written off too early because they weren't given the proper opportunity. So just because we got Gino, just because the Giants got Russell Wilson, I don't think it takes Sanders off the table for either of those franchises.
Yeah, I don't either. All right, man, we had a really successful first round of the NCAAs. Let's get to the pass real quick, Spread.
Let's dive right in. The first game I want to talk about. So only Clemson was our only upset. Do we just want to get that one out of the way? What happened with that game?
McNeese is a good team, man. They played together a lot of years. Some guys who have a lot more talent than that mid-major school. Shout out to all the good people in Lake Charles, out at Mamu and all over there. I know all those people out there in I-10 West used to run out there a lot, man. Go to LeBerg and gamble and hang with my guys and stuff. A lot of good friends from that area of the world. Good job by them. I just didn't know how that coach, Will Wade, would have the team ready to play with him in the middle of negotiating with NC State, but I should have known what the type of fella he is. He was paying people before NIL, He was that type of coach. He was the type of coach that he'd call up his players to be like, hey, man, pull up on me. They pull up on him. He might have a bag of money for him. He's just that type of dude, man. And so maybe he told the guys who had eligibility, play hard for me. I'm going to bring NC State with me, because they really responded well for their coach, and they came to play. And Clemson really disappointed. Clemson was one of our better bets all year, Spread. I really liked Chase Hunter, and I liked all their transfers, but those guys didn't show up at all, and they kind of snowballed after they got confidence. I think like maybe 2 minutes to the game, I tweeted. I said, man, this was over, because I just saw that they had given McNeese confidence. My wife and I jumped in live and bet them -12.5 first half. They covered it, because when I saw the line, like they're only up 13 and it's 12.5, and they're the lower seed. The books definitely see something and see a mismatch, and they just got their confidence took, man. And a great career for Chase Hunter at Clemson comes to a very disappointing Ian McNeese doesn't survive Purdue as we knew they wouldn't. But that kind of gets us to the next game that we won when we started our streak.
All right, yeah. We missed that one. But after that, reeled off 4 in a row. What a great weekend for the free plays. So make sure you're following 5 Star. And hey, I know we're going to talk some sports on here. Those videos are quick. You get the winner in 1 to 2 minutes. Check that out at 5 Star in Vegas on Twitter. Purdue -8. I did not see that game. Talk to me about what you saw.
Our point is just too small. Purdue is not the Purdue we've seen in the past. Matt Painter just has a system that he runs, but his 2 guards have played a lot of basketball, a lot of tournaments, and Lawyer and Brendan Smith, and they kept him in the game, kept a lead, got a 10-point lead at the half. We had the first half -4.5 in the game for -8. We hold on. High Point is a really good mid-major team. They're just too undersized for Purdue. Kaufman Wren was able to do his thing at center for Purdue. He would not have that same success against Houston this week.
All right. Vanderbilt was +4.5 against St. Mary's. Break down that game.
That was a good one. I was inside the Win watching that one with my wife, and Vanderbilt won for us. We had the first half +2.5, but they won money line on that one. Second half, mean push by St. Mary's. They just started doing what they do. Coach Bennett got those guys running those sets and playing good defense, and they were able to take over and end up winning the game. It got really tight at the end, man. Why? Didn't know if we were going to cover or not, but thank goodness Vanderbilt does hold on, at least for the cover, and we cashed that ticket. Good game. Now both teams are at home as St. Mary's falls to a really talented Alabama team.
Colorado State, we had the money line against Memphis. Talk to us about that matchup.
Oh, Colorado State played his tail off, man. They have been one of the hottest teams in college basketball as they go through a really tough Mountain West Conference, get it done. Shot the ball completely unbelievable from the three-point line. Like, they had a bunch of guys. Nick Barrett was the leader, but it's a bunch of these little mixed light-skinned guys with good hair, man, like 3 of them. And all 3 of them spread. They could light it up, and they did that thing, man, for Colorado State, man. And those kids put up a great effort. They won for us against Memphis, took off at the end of the game, won by about 10 points. As I told you guys, Memphis was not going to make a really strong push in this NCAA tournament without their point guard, Tyrese Hunter. He's the best player on that team. And, as I said, Penny Hardaway did a good job. They're the American, man. I know he loves his alma mater and his team, but Penny's going to have to think about going to go get some bigger money because he's probably the biggest NIL contributor to that school. Him hopefully has Derrick Rose involved. I don't know if he does, but to do what really Penny can do with him being the type of guy that's kind of like a Coach Prime with a lot of these kids coming up hooping with fathers and uncles who looked up to Penny Hardaway and were fans of his, he has to get somewhere with a much bigger NIL purse so he can go get some of these guys. The old way that he was recruiting them at Memphis is not going to work. So we see if Penny stays in Memphis. I know he loves the city. He's been there his whole life. Got shot on his grandmother's porch in high school and still is there. So, Penny loves Memphis and he's, loyal to him, but they go out to Colorado State. Colorado State loses in an instant classic to Maryland, man. Derek Queen with the big bank shot that really made Scott Van Pelt happy wherever he was at Washington, probably in D.C. Did you see that shot that Derek Queen made spread, and was that a travel?
Even if it was, I don't care. Don't call it.
That told me everything I needed to hear. They say it was a clutch and a gather.
Yeah, right. They got all types of rules that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
All right. I know Sino's not here with us today, but I feel like he's here in spirit when we have Michigan, who got the win against UC San Diego. Talk to me about what you see in that game and what are we doing next with these teams?
UC San Diego is the little engine that could. Those kids can hoop, man. We had Michigan first half money line layup. For the game, it got tight as hell because them dudes came out of the locker room. Bro, it was like a whole team of the best guys you've ever seen in intramural basketball. Like, like the best dudes you've ever played an intramural in your life. They were so precise and they could shoot their asses off. And bro, after they got confident, man, I thought they were going to beat Michigan. They gave them a mean push that shows you how good these AI programs are at these books. When they run these games over and over, man, they hit them right on the nail because they saw something in that Michigan team that they knew that the efficiency of UC San Diego was going to make this game close. And it probably was the turnovers because Michigan was very sloppy with the ball in this one. But we did know that the two Giants for Michigan were just going to be too much for them. Those guys can really play, really solid team, and as long as they get contributions from their others, guys like Barnett step up, guys like Trey Donaldson step up. Michigan's a really solid team. But shout out to Eric Olin. He's only 44 years old, man. This is his 12th season as the head coach for UC San Diego. I know Texas went and got the guy from Xavier that used to coach at Arizona. I know he's like a fourth or fifth generation coach. His brother was a coach at Dayton. His dad was a coach. But, man, they should have looked at Eric Olin spread. If any program's looking for a solid head coach, if you can find a way to prime out of San Diego, I'd go get Eric Olin. He knows what he's doing, and he's only making, with his bonuses, $450,000 next year.
All right, let's move into the present and 5-star. We touched on it briefly, but the lack of upsets the first weekend means we have some great matchups to look forward to coming up this weekend between quality teams that we've researched. Not a lot of surprises here, so expecting some good breakdowns from you here. Let's start with BYU. They're taking on Alabama. Alabama's currently laying 5.5. How are you approaching this one? And you think Alabama takes money before tip?
I'm sure they do. I'll probably be very public on this game, but even with that said, it's crunch time. You can't really worry about that because these kids are going to come to play. The refs are going to have to give them an egregious whistle, to really affect what the public has going on. But be honest with you, man, BYU is one of the better teams that's flew under the radar all season. They're 9-1 in their last 10, 8-2 against the spread. Their only bad loss was to a really good Houston team in the last 10 games. They beat some really good teams. They won at Iowa State. They beat West Virginia. They beat Arizona at Arizona. Just beat Wisconsin. So BYU is no joke. I think that Kevin Young, the coach who's taken over as Mark Pope goes to Kentucky, is a year away, spread. They're about to be one of the better programs in college basketball, and it's going to start becoming a destination spot because more and more people are starting to learn about this area of the country. Like with Coach Prime going to Colorado, the growth of Utah and Utah State, and just the Mountain West in general with the Pac-12 leaving, people are starting to travel to this area that I've been living now in the last 7 years of my life that I'll never leave just for the natural beauty and the way the people act. Everybody's so peaceful and calm, man. So BYU is about to be that place, man. And we all know the brothers that play ball, they love the blondies, so they're gonna see some snow falling at BYU. So they probably enjoy the parties out there too, man. So BYU is a beast in the making, man. The head coach is great grandson of Lorenzo Young, who's the brother of Brigham Young, the school's founder. So some deep ties over there with their head coach that took over. Next year he got AJ DeBonza coming in, man. He's the number one wing in the whole country. He'll probably play 1 year and go to the NBA. He's playing right down the street right now at Hurricane, Utah. That's one of the nicest little resort places in Utah. It's like an hour and a half from Vegas. It's a nice beach, red sandy beach in Hurricane, Utah, in the middle of the mountains. Very nice, but that's what the Bonds is. But I think that BYU is a year away. When he comes and those other recruits land with the guys they already have, the system that Kevin Young is putting in place, they're going to be ready to be a Final Four team. But this year, not so much. I think Nate Oates has too many horses. The experience of going to the Final Four last year. And then they have what I call college basketball's Jalen Brunson and Mark Sears. He's the same type of guy, same body type, same patience getting into the lane, same ability to get to where he wants to shoot a shot left-handed. more deadly actually than Brunson from the 3-point line, but he's a really good player. So when you got a guy like Mark Sears directing stuff, you cannot fade Alabama in these type of games. Been through the rigorous wars of the SEC. So we're going with Bama -5.5. I will not be surprised if BYU can keep this game close and cover, but I got to take the team with the more talent and the most experience.
All right. We got an ACC versus SEC showdown here. When Maryland is catching 6 against Florida, kind of a similar situation, right? SEC team laying between 5.5, 6 points. Definitely favored. You liked Alabama in the first one. Are we going SEC again, or do you think the ACC can represent here?
I like Maryland because Maryland just has a lot of shot makers, and I also like when teams come from winning the type of game that they won against Colorado State with buzzer beaters for momentum. I think that they'll come out confident, and I think that the public is going to be really heavy on Florida. Florida also survives as they take out the champs. A rigorous game against UConn. Danny Hurley gets the best out of his team. He's not a likable guy, but what you can't argue about him is the way he can coach some ball, and he had those kids ready to play, and they gave Florida all that they wanted. But I think they also showed some, areas that Florida can be gotten, and I really think that Maryland has the players to do so. Maryland, another one of those teams that's kind of been under the radar, but man, they were really, really good in the Big Ten. Some big wins, a lot of close games against top competition, man. Just 6.5 points. If it was within the 6, I'd go with Florida. You know how much I love Walter Clayton, but over the 6 points, I think it's too many points for a Maryland team that's super talented and has some guys that can really get the front court of Florida in some foul trouble, and that'll be the key to the game. Florida's not used to going against guys like Derek Queen, like Julian Reese, guys who can match up with them with height and strength. So give me Maryland plus 6.5 on this one.
All right. Taking the ACC team there. And I already know where you're going here, but for the people, break it down. Arkansas plus 5.5. They're taking on Texas Tech.
You already know I'm going with Coach Cal. Coach Cal has been playing bluff on everybody's spread. They got one of the most talented teams in America. It's just that none of the guys were healthy at the same time. They were in and out the lineups. And during the whole time, my Duke Therio was carrying the team. Unbelievable player, 6'8" wing, that's really strong and rugged. He could play power forward all the way down to shooting guard. He was kind of like carrying the load to get them to where they are now. He gets hurt with a hyperextended knee, and everybody comes back. So now Arkansas is back loaded like they were supposed to be all season. And they're led by one of my favorite players in Johnell Davis. You know, Johnell Davis has been my guy since Florida Atlantic, and he's played really, really well in this tournament. He sets the tone for this team. Then you still also have on that team guys that are veterans who's had a lot of play in the NCAA tournament, like the point guard who came over there from Kentucky with Coach Cal as well. I think that Arkansas is ready to shock the world, man. I think that they can win this game. Money line. Texas Tech is a good team. Don't get me wrong. I'm really a fan of the coach. He does a really good job with that team. I've won so much money betting JT Toppin to go over his points. It's ridiculous. I think that this just is a bigger step up for Texas Tech. They had to be rocked to sleep just a little bit with the 2 games that they played prior to this. They played UNCW in the first round, and last round they played Drake. Those guys just aren't the type of team that Arkansas has, where you have Arkansas who's just had to battle Kansas and St. John's to get there. Winning against St. John's had to give them a whole lot of confidence going to this one. And then even better news for Arkansas now is that Duke Therio will be back. So they'll have their entire squad there for Coach Cal. Coach Cal has shown in the past that he's a really, really good coach in March. And also a thing to keep an eye on, it's a couple programs that are looking at each other. One of them is Arkansas with Coach Cal watching Kentucky. And he wants to make sure that he outdoes Kentucky and does just a little bit better than them. And I think as I break down the Kentucky game next, we'll see that I think Mark Pope wants to make sure he does a little bit better than BYU at Kentucky as well, to say, hey, I know you guys are doing good without me, but I was a hell of a coach there. So there's a couple factors in this that's going to make it where I go with Arkansas plus 5.5 and Arkansas money line plus 280.
All right, let's move on to Friday night's games. Kentucky catching 4.5 against Tennessee. What do we think of this game?
I think that the NCAA did a really good job with seeding Kentucky at number 3. Because at first I was like, why the hell are they number 3? They are the 3 seed, but you kind of forget because of record. They were 24-11. That the type of talent they have, kind of similar to Arkansas. They're loaded, and they were dealing with injuries. I know that they lost Jackson Robinson, who came over from BYU, but they still have the other guys that they brought over in the transfer portal that are really good. One that I really like is Kobe Brea. He came over from Dayton. This kid can stroke the 3. He's probably their best scorer. He reminds me so much of Mikal Bridges type of player, Cam Johnson type player, that he's going to translate easily to the NBA because he plays both sides of the ball. 6'8", 6'9", and a really good stroke from the 3. Huge for them with Lamont Butler coming back. Lamont Butler has played a lot of basketball, went to the Final Four before already with San Diego State. And then you have guys who are getting playing time because of the injuries who are now stepping up. And reliable for them always is the transfer kid Owe that they got in. He's number 00. He's going to jump off the film every time to you because the effort that he gives and his ability to score. Reminds you a lot of what's my guy's name out of Indiana from the Pacers that they took from Arizona?
Benedict Mathurin.
Benedict Mathurin. He reminds me a lot of Benedict Mathurin. Check out Owe for Kentucky. He's going to see a lot of pros playing when you see Kentucky and Arkansas play, and that's the thing that I like in March because guys are going to get their best efforts. Also, Kentucky's been really successful against Tennessee, man. They've won 3 straight, 7-3 in the last 10. In the last 7 matchups, Tennessee only won 1 time. So for some reason, Kentucky just understands what Rick Barnes is trying to do. Also, Rick Barnes has not been a trustworthy guy when it comes to March. So I'm going to go with Kentucky on this one. Give me Kentucky with the points, the plus 4.5 and money line. I think they continue their dominance over Tennessee and get to the Elite 8 where they'll probably meet Houston.
All right, giving a little bit away there, but we're going to get to that one here in a second. But before we do, let's talk about Ole Miss taking on Tom Izzo, Michigan State. They laying 3.5. How do we approach this one?
Chris Beard is one of my guys, Fred. When I'm talking about college basketball, I always mention how good Ole Miss's coach is. He's already taken Texas Tech to the Final Four before, and on that route, he beat Michigan State the last time that Tom Izzo had a team that looked like it was ready to do something. They had beaten Duke that year, and they looked like the best team in that region. The Texas Tech upset them in the Elite 8 and ended up going all the way to the final game and losing the championship. This Spartan teams, though, is too deep, man. They are really good on the perimeter. That trio of Trey Holloman, who's just a magical playmaker and can shoot the 3. Jaden Akins, who's a true shooting guard, comes off picks and just shoots daggers with that left hand. And then another lefty, and Jason Richardson's son, Jace Richardson, who is a really good player, is an NBA player. Probably will be a lottery pick if he comes out this year. They're good, man. And I just think that they're going to be able to hit another switch in the second half like they've done all year long against good competition. I like Ole Miss's roster. I like Dre Davis. The only real scorer is Sean Padilla. He's cool. I think he transferred from Virginia Tech, but I think that Michigan State will be able to make them play left-handed and won't allow Padilla to get, comfortable. They'll probably go at him offensively and try to get him in foul trouble because Michigan State's new style is speed, man. As soon as they get the rebound, they're gone. And that's a lot to do with Izzo working with the Olympic team now and being around a lot of pros for the last, I'd say, 10, 15 years now as he's been an assistant coach with U.S. basketball. Really good players, though, for Ole Miss, too. As I said, Dre Davis, he was good at Seton Hall. They got Jermaine Brakefield, versatile 6'9" guy who can shoot the 3 and he defends. Matthew Morrell is back. He's a really good, solid shooting guard, thick guy. Ole Miss plays with tenacity. They just like their coach, a lot of energy. a lot of belief in self, but I just think that Michigan State is too good and that this is their year. The emergence of Cohen Carr, who's a really great athlete, gets a lot of good dunks. Man, Michigan State looks like the Showtime Lakers when they get on the break. when you see him and Holloman running the break together, it's a beautiful thing. A lot of no looks, a lot of fabulous finishes. And then you got Frankie Fiddler. That's a hilarious name, right? Oh, Frankie Fiddler. This guy was a baller at Omaha, all conference, first team. He used to average 20 points in that conference. And now he comes and he's finally gotten where Izzo believes in him enough to really let him get some real good playing time. And he's brought a different element to that offense because Michigan State is really an up-tempo team. He's been able to add a little bit of half court because he's a really good one-on-one player, makes good decisions, shoots high percentage from the free throw line. So give me Michigan State. I can't lay any points though spread. It'll be minus 150 because I'm afraid of that coach, man. He's a really good coach, and I know he's going to have a great game plan. But I think Michigan State gets it done in the second half.
All right, yeah, at the beginning of the breakdown, I thought you were taking the points there, but looks like we're going Michigan State money line.
Yeah.
The Houston Cougars will lay 8 to the Purdue Boilermakers. I know we're playing Houston first half, right? But what else is going on here?
That's how we're going to play. I don't know how the end goes because Houston tends to give up leads at the end of the games. They just did in the previous one as well. But we get it done. So I'll take the Cougars. They're going to win the game. I think that strongly because I don't think Purdue has the athleticism to play with Houston. I think that they're going to be on the ball so hard on Braden Smith that they're going to cause him to really fumble and have some turnovers. Just not a lot of ball handling for Purdue for the type of pressure man-to-man defense that Houston plays. And Houston looks to be a team on a mission. In my opinion, they're the best team in college basketball at this period right now with how everyone's healthy on their team now, how Milos Uzan is now playing like a superstar. I just think that L.J. Cryer has too much experience from his runs with Houston and his championship with Baylor his freshman year. I think that they're not going to allow Purdue to take them out. So give me the Cougars first half, Houston first half minus 4.5. It'll probably be soon. They might put it at 5. Most likely to be 5 because it's 8. Yeah. But anything under 10, I think is good with Houston first half. I won't play the game though, but I do think Houston gets it done.
All right, you got a future for us. Who do you like here to advance and win this NCAA tournament?
Remember, when we're playing futures, my formula is always about value because if you got value, you can always get your money back. And Arkansas to get to the Final Four at plus 900 is unbelievable. All they have to do is pull out this upset, which they very much are capable of. Texas Tech is not head and shoulders over Arkansas. They definitely don't have more talent. They may be a better team because they played together more this year, but they don't have the talent that Arkansas has. So I think that Arkansas gets through Texas Tech, and now you're at the point where it's Florida or Maryland. They have played Florida this year, so it's not like this is not an SEC game and that they're used to playing them and able to, get up to their level of play. So give me Arkansas at plus 900. I can always go heads then because if they have it tight in the first half, hell, I can go take the other side at plus 100 and get all my money back. So let's just do that. Let's go Arkansas to get to the Final Four at plus 900.
All right, let's see it. Let's see some upsets here. Week 2, right? We had a chalky first weekend. Let's see if the underdogs can strike back. So you've given out a lot of winners already. Some people might only want to play 1 or 2 though. So that's where the Ball and Parlay comes in. What do you got for us?
Wow. Before we even start the Ball and Parlay, Eli defeats Iga Swiatek 2-0.
Who did?
7-5. Exactly. Exactly. Eli, the 140th ranked player from the Philippines, Alexandra Eli. She's 19 years old.
I've never seen her play.
I've seen her play. I saw her play a couple weeks ago and last year, and she probably serves spread 75 miles.
Yell my dad. Dad, have you seen this girl?
She serves like 70 miles per hour. I'm not lying. But in the mix, she could play. Her game has made a leap. I think kind of like I remember how McCarthy Kessler just all of a sudden came back. Yeah. He was like, hey, she can play with. that's how she just did. I think the confidence came. She beat Violinets, Ostapinko, and Keys. That's a pretty good trio of
That's a really
wins.
good run.
And then now she's beating the #2 player in the world. We know how Ike is. She probably head cased out because when I turned it off, I thought she was coming back. She had got it to 4-2, and I was like, oh, she about to mow her. And I was like, let's start the show. No, Ela gets it done and comes
Wow.
back in a gutty effort. And so let's keep our eyes spread on Alexandra Ela because at 19, this has to give her a lot of confidence moving forward, man. We got to keep an eye on her. She'll be getting some good numbers now, probably from the book, man. Let me get you
And I'm
the
not ready to put the alarm up yet there for Swiatek, but if she doesn't dominate this clay season,
yeah.
this is before I just thought, oh, this is cool. We're getting better numbers for clay. Now I don't know if it's really going to be the same value or the same slam dunk that Iga on clay was, right? We kind of always said she's the female Nadal on clay, right? Just no matter how the season's going, better on clay. This year is going to be a real test to whether or not that's true.
It's definitely going to be a test this year. I think this is pretty much, and young as she is, it sounds crazy, but we know the tennis players live in dog years, so it's a little bit different. So this is a do or die year for her, and the reason why is because she almost broke and gave up the crown last year. Remember, Osaka had her. It was like 5-2. She had like 5 match points on clay, and we know Osaka's horrible on clay. That's not even her surface. If she would have beaten Iga at that time, I seen Iga was crying, man, on the court during the match. Like she thought it was over, but she was able to dial it up, show a lot of guts, and that kind of gave her the momentum moving forward, where she ended up winning the French Open, and it's back to normal. But man, if she doesn't, as you said, have a good clay season, it's time
she's
for
got to
her.
win some of those Masters too. I mean, she can't just squeak out the French. She's got to dominate Italy. I mean, Madrid's whatever because it's so fast. But she's got to win in Rome, and she's got to do well in Madrid. In Madrid, so boy,
that's crazy. I'm thinking that she might. I hope she's not one of those ones who have a quick burnout spread. And we talked about that. Our worries about that with her, the pressure that she puts on herself. We see Coco get mowed like the other day. She just got upset by Lynette. She didn't give a damn. She just was like, well, I'll be back. I played bad today. It's okay. And you could tell Coco went and put her shades on, probably went out shopping or something. And like, when I go back to practice, let me fix some things. Iga does not take losses like that, man. She doesn't, man. She puts so much pressure on herself that burnout can happen. I wish she would just chill out. She might have to take a break, man. She might have to take a break for a year or something. I saw that. I think she fired the lady who was a psychiatrist, right? I haven't seen her in the box in a while.
But some stuff came out about that relationship where it might have been the right move.
What was happening?
This woman was just think of like 60s football practice style.
Oh, she was Rebecca's coach, but a female.
Yeah, she just screaming at her and a lot of negative stuff that, back in the day would have been okay, but nowadays it just would not fly. So,
and she was supposed to be like a psych doctor, right? Like,
yeah. So,
what are you doing helping her by doing that? Like, anyone who watches tennis as much as we do, or any fan of sport, knows that you could tell, even in success, that Iga has a really fragile personality, bro. Like, you cannot treat her that way. That's not a good thing for her. So I'm glad she's away from her. She's probably is adjusting to not having her, because it's kind of like a Stockholm syndrome. Like, like how some women, they get used to being treated and tear down their self-worth so much from being mistreated by some men that now when the men's gone, kind of like with the pimp whore situation, that's pretty much what it is a woman believing that I need this guy to talk to me like this and treat me this way in order for me to be successful. I hope Iga's not dealing with that now, because she has no business losing a game to Eli, man. She was a -6.5 against her. She should have mowed her like 6-2, 6-2 minimum. I just don't know what's going on, and it's kind of troubling. All right, let's get to the Ball and Parlay real quick. I'm going to go with Rebecca Masarova. Rebecca Masarova is one of my favorite Spanish ladies to bet, especially on hard court strength. She's not a clay girl, even though she's from Spain. Really strong serve, strong lady. She's like 5'10", good from the baseline, athletic. She just was dealing with a lot of injuries. She's playing out Bernarda Parra. Bernarda Parra has always been in the 50 to 100 range, left-handed. Just a cool tennis player. I think she's won a tournament, one or two smaller 250s or so. But right now, Masarova is playing much better tennis than her. She's going to be playing in protege. You got to give me the number though, Spread. I don't have the number. Do you see a number on that?
Yeah, let me pull it up right now. This one was in Puerto Vallarta?
Yeah, Puerto Vallarta for Thursday. Give me her number and give me Maya Joint if you see it.
Masarova's plus 104. Maya Joint is minus 246.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we're going to bet Masarova at plus 104. She's a slight dog. Really good number. I think that she gets you done. Might be 3 sets, but I do think that she overcomes Parra because Parra just committing too many errors, doesn't have a lot of confidence right now. And also as a fly-in, we'll throw in Maya Joint against her countrywoman, Priscilla Hahn. Maya Joint is one of those ladies who just needs more reps. She's a really good player. Has trouble holding her serve. But when she's in the baseline battles with ladies, she could hit with anyone in the world. She went to University of Texas, and the books think highly of her. That's why she's always getting bad numbers, man, against girls who really can beat. And Han is one that can threaten her, but I think the Joint gets it done. I'm going to go 2-0 on that one for her to win 2-0 sets, and that'll play plus 140. All right, what you got, Spread?
All right, let's move to the National Basketball Association tonight. Phoenix Suns have won 4 in a row. The Boston Celtics have won 6 in a row. The Celtics are traveling to take on the Suns, and the Celtics are taking money, and that's fine by me because I want to grab these points with the Phoenix Suns. Right now, the Celtics are essentially locked in the number 2 seed. They've been here before, and we've always seen that this is not a team that is self-motivated, so to speak, right? Sometimes they have to get pushed around before they really start to move. So they're coming in, they're feeling happy. They've been winning. They just smoked the Kings 2 nights ago. Before that, they beat the Portland Trailblazers. Before that, they beat the Utah Jazz, right? This is great. Good for them. Beat the teams they're supposed to beat. But those aren't quality wins, right? That's not beating the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's not beating the Houston Rockets. That's not beating the Oklahoma City Thunder. And they're pretty much locked into their seed right now. We've seen Sam Hauser get a lot of reps, right? And they're doing the things that playoff teams and championship teams do. Let's experiment these last 12 games. Let's give some of these role players an opportunity to earn some minutes or be ready in case of an injury. And the Celtics also do have an injury tonight as Jason Tatum rolled his ankle against the Kings 2 nights ago. Right now he's doubtful. I'm capping this game as he won't play. The fact that he's even on the injury report, I think, moved the line a little bit. But regardless, the Suns have their back against the wall. And Kevin Durant's too old to wait for next year. For him and Devin Booker, they're going to be all in. And I think there was some of that friction on that team with Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal's out of the lineup right now. The team's playing better. I like the Phoenix Suns plus 5. So I think that they're going to get it done, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them win outright. They need to win this game. And I wouldn't be shocked, as the only Sacramento Kings fan, to see my team fall out of this play-in even. Now that Anthony Davis is back on Dallas and Phoenix is streaking.
They looked horrible last night. I was so ticked. I had ran up some money, betting some straights and rolling over, and I put everything on Sacramento plus 11.5 live last night going into the 4th. And boy, I'll never do that again. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, it looked horrible.
Yeah, my friends that are Kings fans, are still supporting that Mike Brown trade. But I watched the Celtics game and I watched the Thunder game, and I told them I don't see how you think that this is a well-coached team. I think they took a huge downgrade, and Doug Christie does a lot of things for Sacramento, and I don't want to be too hard on him, but I don't think he's anywhere near the caliber of Mike Brown, and I think that we're seeing it now. So it's really too bad for Sacramento, but maybe they'll lull Boston into a false sense of security, and Phoenix will be able to take advantage of the night. That's why I'm on the Suns plus 5.
All right, let's recap real fast. My college basketball plays is going to be Alabama minus 5.5 versus BYU. That one's going to be tight. Maryland +6 versus Florida. That one's going to be tight. Arkansas +5.5 and money line +240 versus Texas Tech. Kentucky +4.5 and money line +200 versus Tennessee. And Michigan State money line -160. And of course, Old Faithful, you can always put it in. University of Houston first half. I think it'll probably be -5. They haven't put it up yet. With Houston against Purdue. Houston likes to get on teams early. Guys, we really enjoy being here with you today. We'll be back next week to talk some Final Four and, how things are going to pan out. Remember also, I did put a flyer on +900 for Arkansas to win that region on the upset. Anything for the people before we get out of here, Spread?
Man, I'm excited for this weekend, man. The NBA hasn't been as fun right now. And boy, after watching, Washington play Philadelphia and both teams want to lose, it's good to turn and watch some basketball where these guys are going all out. They will do anything to win these games. And when they lose, I don't want to see people devastated, but it's good to know that what you're watching has stakes. What you're watching has meaning.
I don't see why the NBA don't care. You saw Derek Queen said, they say, why you play hard for your coach? He said, because he pays us.
Yeah, well.
So I don't see why the NBA, that's all on Adam Silver, because guess what? David Stern would take your money. So that's what the NBA got to start doing, man. Have more pride in the sport. As always, I dedicate this show to the greatest Houston sports fan I know, and that's my father, John H. Lindsay. I do this for you, Dad, as the Astros have opening day tomorrow. Make sure to sit down with Ian and we'll think about you as we watch it. 5-star in Vegas. It's always us versus the machine. We'll see you guys next week.